Should I get an out of state doctor to help me with my VA claim? I'm Combat Craig, and we're going to talk about medical evidence a little bit today. So, we're going to talk about the different types of medical evidence that's available, where you might get some if you don't got none, and then should you go use an out of state doctor? So, let's get into it. All right, first of all, this is your VA claim, right? You have to figure out, is my medical evidence going to be enough for me to win my claim? This is an evaluation that you need to make on your own, and I suggest you educate yourself because what you do has a lot to do with the outcome of your claim. So if you're, evaluating your medical evidence, oh, I didn't show up, I didn't know I could file a claim. That's the famous thing that I did. And then I was like, oh shit, I can file a claim. I don't have any complaints. I didn't complain to anybody about my condition. That's where you're stuck. Now you need to get some medical evidence in your file. So in most cases, if you have a disability, you're making some kind of complaints. I get it. Not everybody does that. That's the ideal scenario. And you're doing this to the VHA, the Veterans Health Administration. So you have it in the records. When you file your claim, you're talking about proof and nexus and DBQs and all that shit. And they look in there and they're like, okay, cool. This guy's getting old Combat Craig here has been complaining about his fucked up feet for 3 years. We see it. So if I hadn't been complaining about my feet, now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to need to supplement it with additional medical evidence. So an outside doctor might be the only way that I can do that. If I did not believe in going to the VA because they suck, and they do suck, you might have to go to a private doctor. Okay, great. So now you have your private doctor. You upload your medical evidence from your private doctor, but you're weak on the nexus. You're weak on the DBQ. You go back to your private doctor. Hey, doc, can you do this DBQ and nexus shit for me? Yeah, sorry, I don't do that. It's too confusing. I don't want to get sued. Or whatever, a million reasons, right? So this is a decision-making moment for you. You don't have much medical evidence to support your claim. Medical disability claim. You need to have something wrong with you, and you need to prove it. They're not going to give it to you. If they just gave it to you, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd be rated, right? So now you're looking at it, and you're like, all right, cool. Medical evidence in my VHA records is pretty weak. I supplemented it. I educated myself. Speaking of education, check out Combat Craig's boot camp. I break all this stuff down in detail, and I think you could benefit from it. Okay, so don't have much medical evidence in your VHA records. Went to a private doctor a couple times. Got some complaints in. You uploaded those to My Healthy Vet, so they are on the record, right? You haven't filed your claim yet, hopefully. So this is a evaluation point for you. You need to figure out, is just the private medical evidence that I submitted through My Healthy Vet going to be enough to prove that I have a diagnosis, I have severity of symptoms, and I have a nexus linking my current symptoms and disability to my active duty service. Okay, so you probably have a diagnosis, maybe not. If you don't, get one. DBQ, you might need to get that filled out by your private doctor. Nexus, definitely going to need to get that filled out by your private doctor. Okay, hopped over to my private doctor, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing any of that shit. I don't want to fill out all that. I don't want to screw it up for you, right? So now you're at a decision-making point. So is this going to be enough for you? For me, I don't think so. If you have not been going to the VHA, you kind of show up out of the blue, shoot some medical evidence their way for the past 6 months, no nexus, no DBQ, I don't think that's very strong. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely go to an outside doctor that could hook me up with a nexus and a DBQ. So now let's get to the title of the video. Should I use an out-of-state doctor? So there is no law saying you cannot use an out-of-state doctor. There's a million reasons for it. We don't really need to go into all of them. It's legal to use an out-of-state doctor. I talk about out-of-state doctors a lot And I think I've created some confusion by doing so. If you go to an out-of-state doctor and pay them for a DBQ and a Nexus letter, I don't think that's bad. They charge money. That's fine. When you get somebody in there that's trying to scrape $10,000 off your back pay, I think that piece of it is bullshit. But that's just me. You can do what you want. If you need somebody to hold your hand and you want to pay them 10 grand to do that, so you don't like fuck everything up, that's cool. I don't do that. So you may have to go to an out-of-state doctor. There's doctors on the internet in different states that specialize in DBQs and Nexus letters for veterans. Nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly legal. Think about it. They're a doctor. The marker for it says it needs to be a doctor. It doesn't say they need to be a doctor in your state or whatever. There's certain kind of doctors that are a little better than others, but the bar is a medical professional. It's actually not even a doctor. Nurse practitioner could be a qualified medical professional. A physician's assistant, a PA, that could be a qualified medical professional. And a doctor could be a qualified medical professional. So if you have to go out of state because you have no other options and you're looking at your claim and you're like, this thing's going to be dog shit if I don't have my Nexus and my DBQ, then go out of state. So now what happens? You file your claim. You feel good about your claim. You went out of state. Then you started Googling around and going into Discord channels or into the comment section. And you're like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, fucking, you made up your mind, so stick with it. You filed your claim, right? So you do all this second guessing and, oh, my mental health is fucking, oh, I'm so confused. Oh, I don't want to screw it up. You do all that bullshit before you file your claim. You don't do it after you file your claim, right? So after you file your claim, if you're using medical evidence from an out-of-state doctor, that's what you decided to do. That's your sword. Sit on that thing and die on it. That's what you got to do. Stick to your story. Stick to your story. Stick to your story. Your story is you use out-of-state doctor. It's not illegal. It's perfectly fine. Oh, well, some VA raters might not like that. Who gives a shit about the VA rater? I talk about using in-state doctors because I think that's the best way to go. It's best to have your treating physician. If your treating physician is a VA doctor that's a piece of shit that won't fill out a DBQ or Nexus, then you're stuck. Now you got to go to a private doctor. Go to your private doctor and he won't do it for you. That guy's in your town too. That's your second best option. If that doesn't work, then you go online and then you go to an out-of-state doctor. So worst thing that could happen is some hero VA rater will be like, oh yeah, denied. We don't accept out-of-state medical evidence. That's bullshit, and it's illegal, by the way. And that brings me to the next part. If that happens to you, the VA cannot be selective about what medical evidence they want to look at and they don't want to look at. We're talking about a VA rater here, right? Sometimes they're veterans, sometimes they're not. What they definitely are not, or they're not doctors and they're not lawyers. Like me, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. Either are you. So they are not in a position to deny medical evidence because, oh, it's out of state or it's some trending thing, right? So you can appeal that. Got a couple different options for that. Higher level review. That's where you review the exact same claim that you filed and you don't get to add any new medical evidence into it. If you need to add additional medical evidence into it, that would be a supplemental claim. You could supplement your claim with additional medical evidence. Also, if you decide to go to an out-of-state doctor, you could do that here too. It's done all the time. Third option is go to the BVA. If you're going to the BVA, I recommend that you take a lawyer along with you. I recommend checking out the sponsor of today's video. They're accredited VA disability attorneys, and they can help you at this level. And I suggest that you get this kind of help from VA disability lawyers when you're at the BVA level. You could totally do it yourself, but this is DIY VA claims. I don't know how much DIY you actually are capable of doing or want to do. So that's what I have to say about using doctors out of state to file a DBQ and a Nexus letter for you. If you can't get it done in state, go out of state. If you are, realizing that this is what you need for your claim and it gets denied, you have appeal options. It's not the quickest way to go, but it's legal and you'll get it. Fight, fight, fight. If you want to see how I won my VA claim, check out Combat Craig's bootcamp at combatcraig.com. I go through my whole process, my crazy brain, and I break it down. And instead of the way I do on YouTube where I kind of ramble around, I kind of made it into courses. So check that out. You will learn something from it. You constantly have to be learning something for this. Regardless if you're 100% permanent and total like I am still learning about my disabilities because I don't trust the VA. What if they change the law and say, oh yeah, we don't do P&T anymore? I mean, it's not going to happen, but who knows? Anything could happen. I just don't trust them. Took me 27 years to finally win. I'm going to hold on to it and I'm going to hang on, and they aren't going to pull a fucking cent out of my pocket anymore. That shit's done. I'm onto their game and I'm going to win. Fight, fight, fight. That's what you got to do. Educate yourself and beat these fuckers at their own stupid game. Get your head in the game. I'll see you in the next video.